What's up, guys? It's Lionel the Builder back again with another video. Today I'm going to be reacting to one of the greats, the Primagen, with the best software engineering advice. Okay, this is going to be weird because it's me reacting to a reaction, but I figure if you take a junior developer, or we're not saying junior, a newer developer like myself, plus one of the GOATs, the Primagen, plus someone else, it's a reaction inception. Let's jump into it right here. Here we go.
The best advice after 20 years of programming experience. I've been programming for 20 years, but I haven't been programming professionally for 20 years, okay?
I've been programming for 2 years. Let's go.
So let's find out.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? In this video, I'm going to share you what I have learned in the past 20 years of being an engineer, right? The reason why
By the way, Excalibur mentioned. Let's go. Let's go. Best graphing platform of all time. Let's go.
I'm doing this is because I get a lot of questions, of course. Right? People are asking me a lot of questions. I see a lot of people taking the wrong decisions, the wrong road paths. And most of all, I think most of you are a slave of the tech community, right? You're basically hunting meta to meta to meta, right? There is a new language, I want to have a job there, we're going to learn that language. Oh, there is another framework coming out, we're going to learn that framework. Oh, I don't like React, I'm going to do Svelte, and so on, right? So basically, if you're a developer, if you're an engineer, you're going to have a career path, right? And that's going to be a timeline. You're going to start your career path, and hopefully it's going to be a long-lasting career, you know what I mean? Full of happiness and joy, you know what I mean?
That was a good point, by the way. I really did like the meta chaser. Meta chasing can be really, really, really painful. I've seen a lot of people that they swear and die by like every new thing that comes out. Like I like a nice little quick investigation just to see what things are about. See if there's anything cool about it. But often I see those things, I'm like, okay, they're neat, they're nice, that I can see some differences, I can see some things that are cool, but at the same time, I don't really like, it doesn't change anything we're doing, right? I know we talked a little bit earlier about like change in kind. It's not a change in kind. It's just like the same thing, but from a different perspective. It's one of the reasons why I've just really appreciated HTMX, is because HTMX felt like a change in kind from just these React heavy front end type things, right? It was really nice. It was really nice just to be like, okay, we don't need that. We can actually do things.
What is React meta? Because I'm definitely a React developer, and I do see that most of the people who join my community, we're all usually talking about React. So, and I know it's not even good, they say, to say that you're a React developer, but that's what we use. We use React, TypeScript, Firebase for the back end, ESLint for, you know, tips, configuration, and such. And so yeah, that's I mean, of course I know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You have to know those, right? But then after that, it's like, what framework are you going to use? What do people want you to use? And React seems to be prevalent everywhere I look.
Things in a simpler, easier, faster way. HTMX taking lessons from the past. Well, I mean, to be fair, HTMX is just a rewrite of intercooler. HTMX is actually just older than pretty much all technologies as far as the web goes. HTMX literally improved my mental health. Sorry for not turning off the alerts, and man, was that loud. That was loud. I'm sorry. Flip, take that. Flip. You kind gentleman, Flip, could you take that out?
And what you're going to do, most of the time, you're going to start with some kind of a language. Everybody needs to start somewhere. Most of you will probably have some background in C or Java or something if you're coming from uni.
I loved the Java. Hell yeah. Get that Java. Even the translation was just like Java. That's pretty great. That's pretty great. Ooh, that's pretty great. But this is true. I mean, my initial experience was in Java. Java 1.5 and 1.6. And so yeah, and in C, right? Like that was kind of like,
do we need to go back and study these things, you know, like Java and C, in order to be the best engineer that you can be? You know what I mean? Is this something that we should do? Drop a comment if you believe so.
like my growing up were those two languages. JavaScript only came much later for me. JavaScript wasn't something that I did at first, which is also really surprising because I realize, you know, now that I say this out loud, there's an entire we also talked about this a while ago. Oh, I don't have it anymore. That like right now, the slice of tech worker pie, such a huge percent of them are going to be boot camp, right? They're going to be these boot camp people that just went through 3, 6, 9 months of JavaScript, right? And like, it's a very different kind of experience than what I had. L circle, it was an okay circle, okay? It was okay. It was okay. Can we just at least agree that it was okay? But I feel like, you mean JavaScript? Yeah, it was JavaScript. It's kind of this interesting thing that's happening, which is that so many more, like, you would think that people growing up in technology, we would all have some level of something similar that we could kind of share and all be able to have like a common foundation of. But I find that I don't have a lot of common foundation with a lot of programmers. Like, we all have, it's actually pretty surprising how much differences people can like come into programming. I mean, I've met people that come in through programming through Lua and Roblox, through Java and Minecraft. Like, unironically, Java and Minecraft is a huge amount of people that come into the programming world. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool experience.
My lead developer, Isaiah, shout out to Isaiah. He was programming Minecraft servers as like a 10-year-old and 12-year-old. And there hasn't been an issue that I've been stuck on that when I finally reach out for help, he hasn't been able to come in and solve in less than like 10 minutes from just looking around and, following the clues and such. So I would agree that, for one, yes, you can come from multiple different angles. Number two, most of the people that I meet are from that boot camp top circle that he's talking about, that do 3, 6, 9 months of JavaScript, which myself has to be included in that. Even though I didn't do an official boot camp, I am a member of 100 Devs. So, there's a extensive amount of hours in there. I also did free code camp in Team Treehouse. So although I didn't pay $1,000 and go to some, specific boot camp, I consider myself a boot camper because of my path that I took, even though it was 100% self-taught, basically free. Still, everything was HTML, CSS, a little bit, and then JavaScript, 75% of the time JavaScript. And then from there on, React, which ended up paying off because I work for a startup which just happens to be built upon React as the front end. So there's that, and it's been working out. But I do admittedly notice that there are a lot of gaps in my knowledge and a lot of errors and such that I come across that I don't really understand why they happened until I do enough research beyond what I've already been familiar with. And then through that, I feel like I'm unlocking a new skill, a new tool for my toolbox that maybe if I would have came from a different perspective, built things in a different way, built my knowledge up in a different way than being so front-end framework-based, component-based, that I may have already understood these things.
Experience, but it also means that we have a fundamental breakdown in direction, in how to become better, in how, and like expectations of engineers, not being able to exit Vim, real redstone problems. I mean, we all have redstone problems, okay?
Which is nice to have. I think especially if you have a C++ or a C background, or very proficient in it, I think that's a superpower to have, because then you actually know how computers work, how memory is moving and all that stuff. Very important.
There you go. That's the superpower that we don't have when you go the boot camp route today. They don't teach you exactly how computers work, exactly how memories work, C++ and that stuff. But it's up to us to go and seek out that knowledge. That's what I'm currently working on now, is becoming like these guys. I don't want to be that top half of the circle,
to be honest. But nonetheless, it doesn't really matter. You're going to start with some kind of a language. Could be PHP for most. That's how it started with me. PHP, JavaScript, TypeScript, whatever, right? And as your career progresses, you're going to be on Twitter, you're going to be on YouTube, you're going to be on Reddit, and I don't think that's a good thing.
He didn't mention Twitch, but we'll forgive him, okay? Okay, hey, Twitch, you guys, hey, you guys matter, okay? Hey, come on. Hey, right now, everybody tell Anthony how much you guys you guys like him. Okay, tell him that Quora. Everybody loves Quora. I turned it away just in time to see I literally give you guys one opportunity to be on screen, and what's the first thing you give me, Isaiah?
Especially if you're young and you're very influential, right? That's basically what we are, what I am. We are influencers. That's what they call us, and we want to try to influence you so we can sell something to you. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be completely honest here.
What is he selling?
And so,
what is Anthony selling? By the way, if you don't know, he is selling a right here, 33% off his Go, HTMX, and Temple courses. By the way, you should probably buy that. Go, HTMX, and Temple. Hell yeah, that's a W. That is a W, right?
I was about to say, like, maybe they call us influencers, but I'm not trying to influence anything really, and I'm not trying to sell anything really yet, at least. Maybe I will one day. Of course, it's something that we're all gonna think about as soon as we start streaming and shooting videos and stuff like that. But you don't necessarily have to. Maybe I'm just so small of a channel. We have such a tight knit community that I don't feel right offering anything yet. But we'll see.
There. That is.
But yeah, shout out to him
not,
and
that ain't no
support
bridge.
his stuff.
That's a W. Okay, that's what I see. That's a W right there. Temple OS? No. Temple, the Go JSX thing. You know what I mean? Very, very good. I like it. The goth stack, as some people call it.
you're gonna see these things on Twitter, like, oh, there's a new framework, and you're gonna learn that new framework, and then something else comes, a new language. I don't know, Gleam, what it's today, Gleam, and then it's Rust, and you have Zig and all that stuff. You're gonna learn all these languages. You know what I mean? And you're gonna hop metas from the moment they basically are being created. Right?
By the way, I actually do think there's some value to learning Zig, especially if you're planning on trying to be more low-level hardware and stuff like that. I think Zig actually has. I think Zig's future in that area is really, really big. I think it's kind of proven itself in the sense that Bun uses Zig, dropped Rust. Tiger Beetle uses Zig. It's just the right thing. I think you'll just start seeing more and more Zigs where people struggle to make Rust work. I think they'll see Zig. Just because Zig has 80% of the safety that Rust has and about 80% easier to write. You know what I mean? It just makes life really nice. I actually think Zig is a really cool. I think out of all the like trendy languages that have come out, I think Zig has one of the cool.
I just imagine that you end up using whatever your job is paying you to use, right? Like, you have to learn that to get hired within that, and then depending on where you go, what project you work with next, especially if you're freelancing, you're going to use whatever the project calls for, right? Like, for me, for example, with my marketing stuff, I use Canva because you need that to create. I mean, of course, I also know how to use Photoshop and Adobe Creative Cloud, stuff like that, but Canva's the easiest thing to use. So if I'm just making Instagram social media posts for a company, I'm going to use Canva. If I'm using WordPress and it's template based, I'm going to, use that for the simple one-page business stuff. With the startup that I'm working for, we're using React and Firebase. So I'm learning about Firebase and how to write security rules and all of those things that you need for that. Once you're working and employed, when do you have the time to learn something that your project is not using? I guess is what I'm wondering. Is this best software engineer advice? I mean, I'm sure he hasn't gotten to the punchline yet or the main point yet, but I'm wondering is this for people who are not employed yet? He says the best software engineering advice. Because if you're not employed yet, then you have the freedom while you're doing whatever your main job is, or if you're in college or high school still, then you have the ability to just learn whatever you want to learn before you even go looking for a job. But once you're actually working, and if you're working with a certain framework or technology and language, you can't really spend time unless you don't have the time to be learning some of these things that they're speaking about, right?
Coolest concepts, one of the coolest futures out of anything. Is Zig the new C? I think Zig is the new C. I don't think Zig is trendy. Zig is definitely trendy. Zig is most certainly trendy. Okay, Zig is in the trendy group of languages. Zig is incredible. Zig makes easy compiling of even C libraries. In fact, some libraries are so easy to compile with Zig that it's easier to take a C program, import it via Zig, and compile it via Zig than using the C tooling to compile that C program. Like, that's how good Zig is. I love it as a C compiler. You are literally not the only person that I see people talk about this. Like, Zig is shockingly, it's like shockingly good. It is great. Is there a reason to switch from C to Zig? Yeah, Zig has a lot of super cool stuff. I know this is about 20 years of programming advice and all this kind of stuff, and I think I know where he's going, and I really like the direction he's going. But one thing to sell you on Zig is that it doesn't have macros. It has Zig. And so it can do compile time Zig programming, meaning that you can write code that executes at compile time to create Zig. So it's Zig that creates Zig. So there's no special syntax. You know, just a good old fashioned Zoomer like me and you, us youngsters, right, can just simply create compile time stuff. They renamed it template / macro. Did they? Well, whatever they named it, I don't care. It is Zig to produce Zig, comp time. It's honestly one of the coolest, it's one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time, because it takes all the suck out of writing. I mean, templates are close enough. It's close to generics, right? It's really interesting. It's very, very interesting. Like, Rust is extremely difficult to write a good macros in. To become good at macros, it's really, really hard. And to become really good at proc macros, it's even harder. There's no generics in Zig. You don't need generics because you have comp time. Comp time is generics, right? It's pretty cool. Definitely, it's worth just reading on and just knowing that it exists. And if you're interested in the embedded world, it most certainly is a real bright spot in that world.
But the problem is, guys, I was just like you, right? It's a phase, right? In your life, you're going to have phases. And in my opinion, it's not bad that you're going through these phases.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is to basically warn you that you probably, or you're most likely going to do the wrong thing, in my opinion. Right. So you need to understand that the moment you're basically going to learn a new meta, right? The moment you're going to learn a new meta, what's going on here? That's the moment you're already shot yourself in the foot, because these metas, they're basically coming as fast as you learn them. You know what I mean?
That's kind of a hard take for me to fully agree with. I'm half on, half off. And what I mean by that is, let's go with this. Let's go with OCaml. I spent a little bit of time looking at OCaml. I've never done a functional language. Now I'm vaguely familiar with the functional language. I can kind of do a functional language. I would still like to spend a lot more time learning about it. I'd like to become proficient at it, but it's just not on my things to do list, right? And during that time, I also got to see a really unique way of thinking. And there's something very special about that. And what I mean by that is that when you get the opportunity to think differently, it can flow back into your existing skill set to make you a much better programmer, to make you see things in a bigger and more complete way. So, do I think you should be jumping all the time? No, I don't. Should you have planned meta learn sessions? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's really, really important. And so it's kind of like there's definitely a balance here. And I think he's getting to this point. I think what he's addressing is the hyper changers, the ones that are, that just like I spent 2 years doing Rust because I just wanted to learn Rust. I wanted to get it. I wanted to use it for every side project. I wanted to really understand it. Now I'm going to do the same thing with Go. These are planned, intentional, let's get proficient at something different. And I like that. For me, that's really, really nice. And then I had my base, which was working at my job, building out network protocols or building out testing infrastructure, building out simulations. Right? I had my core getting better at my core. Plus, I had my ability to go explore different things. And so I think when you put those two things together, it's really good.
So he basically just goes against what I said, that there's no time that while you're working with your whatever you're working with, that you still have time to learn something else. He said he spent 2 years programming in Rust. Now he's going to do 2 with Go. But for his main job, he does network programming. Man, that's crazy to me. So that means, bro, if you're here and if you're really a software engineer, this has to be your life. If you're going to be like one of these guys, I was thinking okay, beyond work, and learning what I need to learn to get better at what I'm doing for my job and make sure that I stay employed with doing what for my job, then the other time has to be spent like watching TV, gaming, hanging out with family, going out to eat, going to the movies. Like, what about that stuff? You know, that's kind of crazy when you think about how much time needs to be invested to really catch up with the best of the best. Like, there's so many different things when it comes to programming, when it comes to software engineering and leveling up. The ceiling is so high, and the different paths that you can take is so vast, and it's such a rabbit hole, and all of these different rabbit holes provide very lucrative, high paying careers. So, how do you choose what to be proficient in? I guess it's going with the meta most of the time, right? Where are the most jobs being hired for? But then, is that true if every single boot camp and every single noob coming in is also aiming at that one thing? Doesn't that create like a bottleneck that is overcrowded? Whereas there's something like Zig or C++ or Go, Rust, one of these other things that there's not a million boot camps for these things. There's not a million YouTube videos for these things. So there's not as many people hiring for these things. But the companies could be there. The startups could be using these things. So very, very interesting. And it's very confusing sometimes trying to figure out the proper way to go. I wish that he would have talked about the exact process that he undertakes when he does go to become proficient within a new language. What does that look like? Does that mean you just start building a personal side project? Or you spend most of the time first reading the documentation, I'm assuming, and then you go on to build a cool idea that you have just on the side? Like, as developers, I'm sure we all get ideas all the time that, every week you're going to think of a new app or something that you want to build just because you can and you know how to do it. All that's missing is putting the time into it and then solving the problems within it. So is that a part of the process when it comes to becoming proficient in a new language? Should I think of a side project and then look at the framework or language that I want to learn and see how that can be incorporated with this side project that I want to build, and then hop in that way? I don't know.
You do is hop. I think it kind of becomes frustrating, or maybe it builds like an anxious feeling in your heart a little bit. You know what I mean? Because you're constantly changing.
The moment you're going to start learning a new framework, a new language, it's already too late because something else is coming up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The point is not to chase a fad. I'm totally on his team.
And you're going to jump to this one. And the moment you learn this one, it's already too late because there is a new one. You know what I mean? And this is going to block your whole career because you're going to do this thing. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be back to PHP, back to JavaScript, then it's Golang, and it's Rust, and then you know what I mean? It's going to be an endless.
This is really good. This is a really good take, which is you should have a goal in mind. You know what I mean? You should have a goal in mind. So like when I did Rust, I had a goal in mind that I wanted to be able to write a basic CLI application as fast or faster than I do in Node, and I wanted to build a few of them and get good at async to the point where I don't have async skill issues. And I wanted to understand Rust at least at some level. I didn't care about learning how macros work. I didn't want to have to learn every last little memory layout thing. I just wanted to be proficient with it and to be good enough that if I were to jump on a team, I could do that. I understand lifetimes. I can do lifetime annotations. I can do most of it, right? I kind of can do traits and passing around things and build more like trait generic type operations and be able to build something that's more abstracted in the Rust way. But like not fantastic. Like that was kind of my goal, was to get pretty good at the language, right? Get pretty good. Async is a pain. Of course, async is people are saying async is awful. Async is a pain. Async is amazing. Async, depending on the language, is very, very different. Async in JavaScript is just simpler than async in Rust. Async in every language is a little bit different. But I had goals. I had an idea in my mind. And as Elixir became really popular, as OCaml became really popular, as other things became really popular during my tenure in Rust, I stuck with Rust, though I did a brief moment to go like look at them for just like a day. Go, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. But I stuck with Rust, and that was an intentional thing because I was not willing to go learn something different. And so now I'm doing it again with Go. These are intentional, thoughtful decisions, and no matter what comes up that's really popular, Gleam, whatever it is, I'm not going to go chase it. I'm going to stick with Go, and I'm going to really learn Go, and I'm going to see, okay, is this the thing that I want to specialize in for the next 5 years? I'm going to do 1 year of Go, and if at the end of 1 year I've really enjoyed it, I'm going to go for another year. And if at the end of that year I really enjoy it, I'm going to go for probably 5 years in it and really try to lean in on that, if you know what I mean.
It's a rabbit hole.
That's honestly how I feel about what I'm using right now, React and Firebase. It's because I see all of the opportunity there. Being that I'm already employed within those two, I think I should have a little bit of a leg up when it comes to getting more opportunities that come my way. And then also to have the experience and to go from, like, say I'm level 2 right now to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to, like, top tier before, like, I see its limitations. I haven't really gotten to the point now where I see what makes it suck, and then what else is better out there. And then I'm sure once I do learn that, I'll become good at that. That is my plan that I'm rocking with currently. I need to pour through every single inch of the documentation, see every single limitation that there is out there within the current setup that we're using. What makes this thing good? What makes it bad? I do see that Firebase is owned by Google. It's right there tied into Google Cloud Platform. So I assume it's going to be around for a very long time. It's always being updated and such. So that's at least my plan. He said that you have to have a plan. That's mine. I know a lot of you guys out there too are React learners as well. You learn your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, then you learn React, and then you start applying, either building something yourself or applying for startups and different companies that are hiring those type of developers. But I do believe this is great advice, and if I did have more time or some project that was calling to me that needed me to build something new, or if there was like an interesting new course by a teacher that I really resonated with, I would hop in there and learn Java or C+. If you guys know anyone like that, please drop a comment into the comment section. If you know anybody who teaches those valuable languages that are just not meta right now. And that's another thing I wish that they would have said. I know he said Zig is meta. I'm going to look into that and try and figure out why. Hopefully he has a video on that. But I'm very, very interested into what is the meta right now. Am I right or wrong about it just being HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React? That seems to be the meta. In my, 2 years of being in this industry, interested in it, living on YouTube within it, trying to learn about it and understand what I'm getting into.
And it's never bad to learn new frameworks. It's never bad to learn new languages. But the most important thing is that all this stuff, guys, and like I said, this is a video without any ads, without any course selling shenanigans. It's just from me, pure to the heart to you guys. All this stuff here, right, is noise. Noise.
Noise. That's beautiful. Noise. Noise. Yo, you're nice. You're noise in my noise. My guess is he meant noise, not noise, right? I think that's what he was saying there. Just in case anyone's wondering, I disagree. It can be bad because you fool yourself, but you think that is what he is saying. Not really sure I don't know what you're disagreeing with. You say Go is boring, but I'm heaving lots of fun learning it. Yes, Go is boring. It's a boring language. Like, genuinely, it's a boring language. Really, really boring language. Okay? Do you have these really amazing type unions? Can you do proc programming? Can you do procedural macros? Do you have can you take the language to build the language? No, it's simple. It's boring. It's intentional. I like it, right? There's a difference, right? I like it. I'm not saying just because something's boring does not mean it's bad, or does not mean it's not fun, okay? If you really want to break things down, Elden Ring is boring. You walk around, you know you're going to dodge, you know you're going to fight, and that's it. Like, hold on. The concept of Elden Ring is very simple. Everybody understood what was about to happen after about 15 minutes of playing Elden Ring. But I loved it. I died over and over and over and over and over again, and I will keep on dying and keep on loving it. I could start Elden Ring right now and have a great time, but I fully know everything that's about to happen. There is no surprises. There is no like, holy cow, I didn't realize you could fly, right? Like there's no things there. It's fun. It's amazing due to the fact of how simple or how boring it is. There's nothing to it that's like crazy. You get to discover and make little discoveries and all that. I absolutely love it. They fly now. Like, I absolutely love it, right? I absolutely love it. Elden Ring and Go share a lot in common. Amazing, right? This is not some hyper complex world in which you have to be like super like, you know, like there's some games that are like there's so much to it. It's extremely complex. There's so many things you have to do. This one's very nice, very simple, very to the point. And you're just fighting and destroying. Oh my goodness. Absolutely love Elden Ring. Oh my goodness. I love it. Right? Anyways.
Goal.
By the way, the moment that Elden Ring Air Tree comes out, you know I'm going to play like 24 hours straight. You know that, right? I'm going to turn into a crackhead and play 24 hours straight of Elden Ring. You know that's going to happen, right? Damn straight I am. You know why? And I already know exactly what I'm getting into. There's no questions. Nobody's going to be confused as to what's about to happen. Oh, Pick. You can join in our worlds because remember, it's like that. I forget what the name. It starts with an S, but they have like that leveling where no matter how leveled you are, it will level with you. I forget the name of it. Oh, man, I'm going to go deep. Pick, you can come join me if we can finger each other or whatever you call it. What do they call it in Elden Ring? Huh? We got to get like fingers and do something to get each other in the same game. They call it sex. Is that what you do? I know it involves a finger and then you get to come into my game. I somehow made that worse. I actually somehow said it in such a way that's actually worse than what it. Pick, you're not coming into my game, okay? Flip, take this part out. You know, just take the entire Elden Ring analogy out. Take it all out. This was a mistake. Okay, this was clearly a mistake here. Okay.
JavaScript, TypeScript, PHP, Python, React, SvelteKit. It's super base and that other thing that just removed their free tier. Planet scale. Noise. These is not what matters. They don't matter. If they blow up tomorrow, nobody cares. That's what it needs to be in your mind. If tomorrow Golang explodes, it's not big of a deal. You know what I mean?
Docker may slightly disagree with that statement, but I see what he's saying. If you could just no longer do Golang tomorrow, you could move on and use something else, right?
What does matter is this, guys. Beautiful, isn't it? Look at that. This is a flag.
Well done.
This is what matters. Right?
Is it the American flag?
And this is basically the goal or the solution. Right? Because a lot of people are coming into programming because they see it on TikTok, they see it they hear it from friends, they think it's cool because we can wear a hoodie and a headset and we can watch, we can listen to music.
What do you think he means by that? Just real question. Like, Anthony, what are you trying to say? Okay, Anthony, what are you trying to say here? Because all of a sudden I feel a little attacked.
And we can be coding and it's nice and we are hackers but I'm going to tell you something. After a certain time, this is going to be exact the same feeling as any other job on the planet. You know what I mean? At a certain time, and it's not only with programming, it's a life lesson. Everything becomes boring at a certain point of time.
I believe J.R.
My bad, forgot I was muted. I have to agree. That's a very, very true statement, and this is coming from a new guy. You know, unfortunately, I had that realization. And I had to say to myself, like, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like, damn, this feels familiar, you know? But that's just life. That's a life lesson, like he said.
Tolkien said it best. Not all that glitters is gold. I find the acceptance of being okay with boring makes things easier. Isn't that Smash Mouth? Yeah, it's definitely Smash Mouth. You know what I mean? Like when you accept the fact that you truly are doing the same thing over and over again, it's all if statements, for loops, and variable declarations. Like at the end of the day, like that's what it is. Like all programs are just that. You know, it hurts. You can still, like, the thing is that that's why I say this a lot, which is you have to try to find joy, right? You have to try to cultivate it. You have to become excited about the problem you're solving. Think about the ways you can make something good. Think about the ways you can really, like, who is Joy? Where is she? You know, it's something like, even like right now, one of my tasks at my current job is really, really boring, I think, for a lot of people. But I love the challenge of trying to make something stable, how to improve logging, observability, testability.
I like that. I like that analogy of finding the joy in problem solving and thinking about how you can make something better. Looking at your tasks, even though they may be a little bit boring, even though it's maybe something that you have done a bunch of different times. Um, Researching how you can make it even better. There's a lot that I could be doing there, and that's actually making me excited about working today. For real, I really, really like that perspective. Thank you, Primagen.
Change stabilization, all that kind of stuff. Like really trying to make things like great. I think it's like maybe it's a point of pride or something, but it just makes me happy. You know what I mean? It just makes me happy to do those kind of things. Whoopsies. I just banned you. You can be unbanned. But if you tell me what to do, you get out. Just so you know. It's a rule of mine. You come in here and you tell me what to do, you get out. Sorry you got banned. Whoever just got hit with the stray. Sorry for that for a second. I unbanned you. Don't tell me how to live my life, okay? I don't tell you how to live yours. You don't tell me how to live mine.
It's the same with relationships. You have a 10 years marriage that becomes boring. And then you think that the grass is greener on the other side and you're going to break up because some beautiful girl is there. But she's going to be beautiful and she's going to be amazing for 6 months.
Girl mentioned. I know a lot of you don't understand girl. I know.
He's cooking right there. That's great life advice.
Very confusing topic for a lot of Arch users. They do exist. They're not just an image on your body-sized pillow. Okay, they're real. I know, hard to imagine, but girls are fake. Government drones. But real. Dang it! Shut up. But there is something very amazingly true about this, and again, I think the same advice I just said for programming actually works exactly what he's talking about. I've been married for, 12 years, 13 years, something like that. 2008, whatever. Wait, 2008? What year did I get married? Hell, what year did I get married? 2011? I think I got married in 2011. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. I got married at some point, and it doesn't matter. You can send my wife that I don't remember what year we got married. I'm pretty sure it's 2011. I'd have to go back and look. You don't have to take this out, Flip. You can keep this in. You can zoom in, Flip. That's not the important part, right? That doesn't make it important, right? That doesn't make a good relationship. What makes a good relationship is wanting to care for someone, finding the joy even in the mundane things. It's the exact same thing, right? It's all the same, right? He's already a dead man. Nice save. Nice save. You guys think that I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. Couch night, absolutely not.
And then it's just back to the beginning. You know what I mean? That's what it is. The grass is never greener on the other side. Of course, there are edge cases, of course. But in general, the grass is never greener on the other side. That's an illusion. And the grass is always greenish because we are bored. Right? And it's the same in programming. Because if you write PHP for 6 years, you're going to be bored. You're going to be bored as fuck. You know what I mean? It's
the closed captioning just avoided the word fuck. Did you see that? Oh, no, but this is a great take. L take? No, this is a great take. L take, really. Bored in Lambos. Okay, hit me why, Stinky Potato. Bring it up, Stinky Potato. Why is that an L take? I do use a yoga ball just popped. Come on, Stinky Potato. Bring it on. Bring it in. Programming for many years is fun. That's your answer back. First off, is your name Devin by any chance? Second off, of course, aspects of it become boring. The thing I think you're missing here is when he says doing something for 6 years, he means doing the same thing, right? As mentioned, let's go. Like, if you are building the same type of application over and over again in PHP, it's going to become boring. Literally, your life becomes boilerplate. Maybe you're making great money. Maybe you're doing great things. Maybe you're living that PHP Lambo life. But nonetheless, you're still building the same thing. I keep my job fresh by doing coke on the job. Okay, interesting move. I mean, that will make things feel more exciting, probably. Mentioned, let's go. Well, I mean, it's true though. Like, you can't. The danger I don't want to see with people. Okay, the reason why this is important to me. The danger that I see with people is that they're expecting their job to make them happy. You know, it's like the inverse of what I said, right? When I say you need to find joy, people are expecting happiness, okay? And those are very, very different. One is like watching TV. It's just like, it just hits you, right? The other one is like more like playing the game, right? You have to go out and you have to be active in the process. And so they're like opposites. You can't just because you're doing the thing does not mean you're going to get happiness.
That's very, very true there. That is extremely true. Maybe like for the first week or the first month, you will get that feeling where it hits you like if you're watching TV, where just because you're here, just because you're sitting down at your desk, just because you're opening VS Code, you're happy. But very much similar or soon after that, you gotta get that FJ, that finding joy feeling, where it's like you're playing the game, you're the character, and life is a game, and it's up to you to motivate yourself. It's up to you to find the happiness in the mundane tasks where you have to do every single day. You're doing the same thing every single day, and looking it up as a leveling up yourself, as you're the character and you're leveling up every single task that you knock out, every single meeting that you make where you get a positive review on how you performed the last week. This is you becoming better at what you're doing, at the dream that you're doing, that you prayed for, that you worked hard for to get into the position that you're getting in. And then you have to set your next goal. You know, if before you didn't know how to code at all, and then you set out to learn how to code, and then you set out to get a job. And once you get a job, you have to set out to do something else within your job to level up that gives you the same amount of joy and happiness as it got you when you were hungry to get into the position that you were in at that moment.
You know, one of the biggest disappointments in my life was my first job. My first job was so bad that I switched to mechanical engineering, okay? That's how bad my first programming job. I thought I hated programming. I literally thought I hated programming. You know, my expectations were all effed up and all that. I think you're right, but I still think it's an L take. What the? First off, I'm not even gonna let you answer yourself for this, but this statement makes no sense. Did you just call yourself an L take? Like, you know, you're right. He's out of line, but he's right. What the hell does that even mean?
Going to be a job like anybody else. Like somebody is selling burgers at McDonald's. Somebody is basically.
Okay, it's not that bad. Okay, like I've done many years at the fast food restaurant. Okay, some of us were sandwich artistes at Subway, and I'll tell you this much: it can be quite mind-numbing. Okay. You know what's really upsetting is when you use that motherfucking tomato cutter, and as you pull down, because the blades have been overused, they get a little bit dull, and you squash the tomatoes instead of cutting the tomatoes. Okay, you know how effing annoying that is? You know what that feels like? If you don't know what I'm talking about, you've never had a shitty job, okay?
Stamping papers each day, you know what I mean? Counting sausages. It's the same thing. Everything becomes boring.
I heard Pick likes to count sausages.
What you need to learn, guys, is that you need, instead of having joy, right? Instead of having, because like I said, if you're writing JavaScript for 5 years and then suddenly, oh, Rust, wow, this gives me so much dopamine. It's such a joy to work with. Our engineering team is so pleased. They are so happy that we can use Rust. They are so productive. No, they were bored. That's what it is, right? And now they are productive, right? But in 6 months, they're going to shoot themselves in the fucking foot. You know what I mean? Back to TypeScript. You know,
I fully agree with that take.
Circle of life. Instead of having joy out of your noise, right? Instead of getting dopamine out of your Vim configuration, instead of getting
Okay, maybe that's like a bridge too far. Okay, handcrafting, artisanal, personal development experiences can be a joy that can be had for many years. Making things the exact way you want them, I find that to be a nice. I just find that to be like a nice leisurely activity. You know what I mean? I do think that that's like a leisurely activity, is taking the time to build something the way you want it to be. I find that to be very, very nice. And so, though I understand what he is saying, again, which is if you're using your Vim configuration to escape the boredom, you are going to like there's a problem there. But if you use your Vim, like what I do is I use my Vim configuration as a way to just make me better at my job, right? I find the things that I find repetitive and boring and try to automate it into a very nice little set of keystrokes or something that makes life easier, right? This video is just calling out primagens. It could be. I mean, I like Anthony. I think he's great. Maybe he is calling me out. Maybe he isn't. I don't think he is, but I think I understand this. Like, I think there's something he's trying to say in here, and maybe he's not expressing it with the right words, which it's this, right? Like, being happy with what you have versus trying to make it be the meaning of your life, right? Like, work has always meant to be satisfying. It's never meant to be the meaning. And I think a lot of people kind of confuse those things. Like when you work really hard and you build something, you're proud of it. It feels amazing, right? You're like, I built that. And it doesn't really matter what it is, from some stupid farming thing because you guys think you're all farmers, or some programming, right? You're happy that you built it, that it's your work that has produced it. And that's being satisfied, right? There is a satisfaction of it. And so that's when I say, finding joy, I mean becoming satisfied and expecting from work the thing that it can bring, which is satisfaction. It may not bring excitement. It may not bring all these other things. Absolutely. Having a better Vim configuration doesn't make life better, right? It may make a few things nicer for you, but it doesn't fundamentally alter anything. It's not a change in kind. It's just still the same thing, just slightly better.
Dopamine about your
it's all fun until
closures
Vim
and your
gets,
camel bullshit. You need to find joy.
First off, don't make fun of OCaml, okay? OCaml's very interesting, okay? I can't believe he's dunking on OCaml. Poor OCaml. Okay, this now it does officially feel like it's targeted. Okay, it does.
Productive, right? But in 6 months, they're gonna shoot themselves in the fucking foot. You know what I mean? Back to TypeScript. That's the circle of life. Instead of having joy out of your noise, right? Instead of getting dopamine out of your Vim configuration, instead of getting dopamine about your closures and your OCaml bullshit, you need to find joy in your goal and your solution. Because this is where the money is, right? And it's not about money, I understand, but who doesn't like money? You know what I mean?
Idiocracy quote? I like money. I feel like we're on the same team, right? I feel like we're on the same team. I like money, right? Which is this is much nicer, right? Change is fun. Change is good. Change makes things feel better. But finding the joy is good. Pre-watched. I knew it.
This is where the money is, right? Your goal and solution should be your main driver of your reward system. The goal and the solution should be something that you want to chase time after time after time. It's your high. It's your cocaine. You know what I mean?
But the problem with...
I agree. Finding the joy and the goal and the solution and keeping that as your true north, keeping that as remembering what it's all about. And it reminds me of something that Matt always says, done equals the money. Like he said, who doesn't like money? It's not about it's not about the meta, it's not about the languages, it's not about the frameworks. It's about the goal and the solution and solving problems for either yourself, if it's your app, or for the company that has hired you to help bring their idea to life, to help push their project forward. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. We're almost to an hour, but I will leave a links in the description for the primagens video if you guys want to watch it without my comments, and also Anthony's as well. Shout out to everybody for watching this. Join the links in the description. We're the digital builders. Join the school. Join the Discord. We have a lot of things planned this year. I'm upgrading my setup, and there's a lot of things in store. You know, a lot of more videos like this where it's targeted towards the new guys, but I also feel like those who are experienced in program have things that you can gain from this as well. We have a wonderful community of 170-ish people right now, all developers, all interested in technology, all moving forward and growing and leveling up as we go along. I'm Lionel the Builder. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.